All right, I'm not gonna whistle.
Good.
Thank you.
I started.
Appreciate that.
I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna call this November 1st meeting to order. Kevin, you want to lead us in pledge?
I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America,
to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Tara? Got your name.
It's regular exoneration.
Okay, is this property or,
Nation of real income.
okay. I'll make a motion to approve the real and property exonerations presented this morning.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
aye. Now we have a special one that we have to approve separately, don't we, Tara?
Not that I'm aware of. We do have 3 refunds that were generated from the exonerations from last meeting. This.
I thought we had some prior years that you guys have made an adjustment for Joshua Christ, and that the commission had to, from what you guys told him, the commission had to approve the prior years that he overpaid, refunds for those years.
Not aware of this, and he is not on the exoneration list, so this is a new one for me. Thinking about that
Oh, wait, there is a Joshua Christian.
on the refund.
Well, he's on for a 2024 exoneration, but he overpaid. His property wasn't classified properly because he was first time home buyer. He had a memo in the packet, and he
I read
called
that.
me about it. Yeah, he called
Yeah.
me about it, and I told him
Mhm.
to ask Ruth to put him on the agenda for those prior years, because he was under the impression that he couldn't, that the assessor's office itself wasn't either able or willing to approve the prior year's refunds, and that the commission had to do it. So I told him to get put on the agenda at the same time. I think we could go ahead and approve that you guys reassess his taxes and refund him any money owed, and then we can sign it. Tom can sign it afterward.
We have one. We do have a refund written up for him in this pile, so he should be taken
So
care of.
that's the same
Should be the
information.
same.
Okay.
Yes.
But is it for all those years or just the 1 year? Because that's
Yeah,
what
'cause
the issue was.
Yeah, it was like 4 years, 3 or 4 years, what I read. What I remember.
Here.
It was there's something.
These letters said it's not for everyone. It wasn't for all the time period.
Says 20, 21, 22.
This is for 2023.
Exonerate the second half of 23.
Miles.
35 in my class 4. Okay. But he's asking.
He's asking for 2020, 2021, and 2022. Is that correct? What I'm reading right, Ms. Taylor?
Yeah, I asked him to put it all in a letter so we would know what we were dealing with. And I told him the assessor's office would be the ones to assess any refund. But if it's a matter of us having to approve it because it's prior years, I think we ought to go ahead and do that today. I mean, he's clearly owed the money. They made the adjustment for this year. He's provided the information about when he bought his home. So there's no question about the years that he's owed. I think as long as they assess it, we could approve it today for them to refund the rest once they get it assessed.
Is that correct, Tara?
Could be. I'll have to go over there and get another refund slip if that is the case.
So you can research it.
Well, you don't have to do it right now. You can bring it back before the meeting's over and
Yeah.
Tom can sign it.
Go ahead and we'll do all the refunds at one shot.
There's 2 there.
We'll go ahead and we'll do them all at one time instead of doing multiples.
I don't have a problem if Ms. Taylor doesn't have a problem with it.
Yeah, just bring back the other one.
I don't.
Well, I would go ahead and do these because we have to get the prosecuting attorney to sign them. We have to get the tax office to give us the total, and it may
Okay.
take me just a little bit.
Okay.
Then I'll make a motion to
Well, so-
approve the refunds presented this morning.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
He also said if you guys had any questions about the fire levy, how he came up with that number, that I could answer that for you as well.
Okay.
Yeah, there's got to be a calculation that we can use to
There
get
goes
that.
the calculation from the certification. There's 2 on each.
Oh,
one.
my goodness.
So I'll,
Oh, okay, I see.
What
Wow.
we did is we took the certification value from Oak Hill and we multiplied it by the fire levy rate, and that's how he came up with that.
Two on each one of these, right?
Yes.
Oh, wrong place. Okay, I got the chicken scratch on there.
I'll go and check on the rest of those.
So that's all the assessor's office has, correct? Okay.
Thank
I
you.
make. Did you have anything else, Ms. Taylor?
No, but I did want to raise something with you real quick. The paper published that we're having a November 15th meeting, and we should probably make clear that that meeting has been canceled.
Okay,
That's it.
all right. I make a motion to approve payroll November 3rd and 17th and December 1st.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Vouchers and invoices.
I didn't see any issues.
No questions.
Ruth? And I do want to make a note. Mr. Cruikshank mentioned the legal ad for the engineering for the fire training fire training center. We're gonna put that on December 6th, just so y'all guys know, on December 6th. And I do want to make sure I'm gonna mention this. I want everybody to understand all the vouchers and invoices that we pay for every department, it's a taxpayer's money. And I'm gonna probably say that from now on, it's the taxpayer's money. I want everybody to understand that. Did somebody make a motion to approve the vouchers and invoices?
I'll make a motion.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes for October 18th and the special meeting on October 19th.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's fast. That's the same.
And then I'll make a motion to approve the estate settlements.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Can I stamp my name from now on?
No, sir.
Nice try.
Yeah. Ruth?
All right, so the first thing on your exhibit list is the discussion of Taylor Regions Network. Payroll services and office location. Allison,
Well,
Diane,
the family resource net. Who is?
Come on.
Diane, and
Okay, yeah,
Terry.
and Carrie.
Yeah, you all.
Talk into the microphone. At least you hear you.
Okay, well, the background on this is that the Family Resource Network was fortunate enough to be awarded a grant to enable it for its and that's going to require some added infrastructure that including office space and then payroll support that I'm not sure. I know for a fact the commission's not going to be able to provide office space for 4 more people. We just are too tight in the courthouse. But the payroll support was something that we wanted to discuss too as the program expands. At what point, the FRN is going to make arrangements to administer its own payroll and take on some of those roles itself. So I asked Terry Harlan and Carrie and Diane to discuss options and to get it when they were ready to let us know what they discussed and what their needs are.
Hey, Allison, it's Diane. As far as the office
Morning.
fix goes, we do have a lease starting today, November 1st, for the FRN to move from the 3rd floor of the courthouse to a office on Main Street in Oak Hill. So over the next 2 weeks or so, I'll get with Ruth and I'll get with maintenance to kind of make that transition. So as far as that's part of it, we have addressed that. But we still are asking the commission to provide payroll services. And if you all have any questions or concerns, I'd be happy to answer those.
How long have we been doing the
I mean,
payroll services?
The FRN has been in existence in Fayette County since 1992, so well before my time. But roughly for the past 30 years, we've had this relationship. Of course, nothing is, I presented Allison and you all and Ruth an actual fiscal agent agreement that has some things that will need updated if we do decide to move forward, but it's always just been a verbal relationship, but it's
And
been
they
before
do
my time, and
reimburse.
it's been before your all's time.
They
Ruth?
do reimburse us for the payroll, John and Tom.
Ruth, is this a department that the commission usually writes payroll for? I mean,
I mean, it's been there since I've been here.
okay.
Ruth, is there an issue with us continuing to do this, or is this something that you would like to have relocated?
I mean, I don't have issue with the payroll part. It does take up some of Gia's time. She would probably answer better because she handles the benefits and that kind of stuff as to timeline, but I don't know.
Would they use our payroll
Well-
program?
If they're in, Yep.
We're in ADP.
ADP, thanks.
Okay.
As of right now, it's myself and Suzanne Wood.
Since the inception
Right.
of FRN in 1992, the FRN director has always been considered an employee of the county. And the Family Resource Network has provided services to the citizens. She might not be able to do it as a department of the county.
Okay.
Gia? Is Gia on?
I'm here.
Okay, Gia, how much time do you work with just their payroll and benefits and anything else that they may have?
If they're already established, then basically the same amount of time with everybody else. As long as there's no changes, then everything runs smooth. To establish a new employee, it takes quite a while.
So you wouldn't have many more new employees, would you?
We do. We have 4 new
4
employees
new.
starting on the 6th.
Okay, I think you just said that.
Yeah,
Okay.
so that's kind
Right.
of what started the conversation that Allison kind of gave some background for, is that we did receive a grant through SAMHSA, the Partnership for Success grant. And so as of right now, we are hiring 4 new employees on the 6th with a 5th one coming on when the position gets filled. So at some point,
So-
the FRN will have 7 employees.
And I think it's fair at some point now that FRN is growing at the pace it's growing, which I'm pleased about. That FRN start to transition to take over its own payroll responsibilities. I feel like we can continue to provide that service for the short term. But I think at some point as the program grows, like the kid is not going to be able to continue. I mean, we have a small staff and we have one person doing all of that.
Mhm.
So we don't want to increase the responsibilities for her when we have, over 100 county employees that we're trying to accommodate also.
Mhm. What would a
So I feel like-
transition look like, Allison?
Well, I don't know. I mean, to me, it's unusual that we're doing that payroll. I understand it's traditional and it's been in place since 1992, but we really, I don't think that's practice that should be, for other organizations that are not involved in when I say county, like running the county itself, running the courthouse and all the things we do. We have a very small number of people that should be providing that stuff for. We don't do it for anyone else that I know of. I mean, we keep finding out things that we never knew, but
Right.
but I think you guys should discuss what that would look like. I mean, I think we're willing to work with you. I just don't think that it's a long-term objective. I don't think that we should continue to provide that long-term into the future.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know whether the health department can offer some insight into how to do that. So
No.
create thoughts under that.
So how much time do we got really to discuss this or talk about this? I mean, we got 2 people right now.
Mhm. Myself and
This
Sue.
is a 5-year is a 5-year grant.
And when does it start? When will you?
It started September 29th, but we have 4 employees starting on Monday.
I'll say you got, okay, that's the issue. I thought maybe.
Well, I'd like to propose that we go ahead and approve continuing the support for at least 1 year and review it at this time next year. And that'll give you guys time to look into other options and let us know what you come up with.
That would make it a lot easier.
And just read.
What'd you say, Ruth?
I said that would make it a lot easier.
Okay.
Because, like, once you transition, you're looking at insurance, statements, your W-2s, like I was gonna suggest, if you had to do it, not until the end of the year, because it was most W-2s, so.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely don't want to pull the rug out from under them in the mid-cycle. So let's, I'm going to move that we approve the payroll support for the next year and review it at the first November meeting of next year.
And I think what the commission says, we're not denying anything.
Mhm.
We're just gonna go forward with a year and see what happens after that. We're not gonna kick anybody out. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
I think that's what,
It's fine with me.
you got any questions, John?
No.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Diane. Thanks, Terry.
Thanks.
Last 9:15.
Okay, I know it's 9:15. Can we go ahead and let Mike do his on the exhibit?
Just take a second.
Because
We
we're
get some-
keeping them from.
Yeah. Chair, yeah, Chair. go ahead.
Good morning, Tina. I just hired a new tax deputy, Tina Cavendish, to start today. So it's a Tina from Nicholas.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, ma'am.
So that was quick.
That was all, that was it. Nice to meet you.
Hey,
Here we
Mike.
go.
Yes, sir.
What's the status of the vehicles that we approved for you?
Can't get them. They ordered and then, of course, the strike. I called last week, I think. They got the VIN numbers for them and everything, just don't know when they're going to deliver. So go to Detroit and tell them we'll get them out. That's all I can tell you.
Everything's been signed except with GM, so.
Do we write a letter to them and tell them we
Yeah,
want?
but that's what we're waiting on. And then also let you know, because we won't have another meeting, Derek McDowell, he starts as transport officer on November 6th, next Monday.
Who is that? I'm sorry.
Derek McDowell,
Derek McDowell.
yeah, Fayetteville. So thank
Have
you.
we already approved that hire through the commission?
No, ma'am, I need to move forward because we got short at the yin yang. I mean, that's why I brought it up today. If you don't want me to, I can tell you not to come in on November 6th.
No, I think, but we have to put it on the December 6th agenda and do it retroactively, though.
Thank you.
We have to approve it.
He's born and raised here. He's working out of town. We've got a new young baby. He's just trying to be close to home, Commissioner. And I went through about 6 people and it didn't work out, so he was ready to go. Thank you.
Thank
Did
you.
y'all vote on his tax person? Like you met her, but it's on that.
We haven't voted yet. I move that we approve that hire.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you.
See you, Sheriff.
All right, thank y'all.
9:15. Kamina, Oak Hill.
I think you all received the order. The proposed order for annexation of a piece of property that we own off the Pea Ridge exit. And it's actually, if you've been out through there, you can see we're building a sign there. We've owned the property since 92 and it hadn't been annexed into the city. So when we redid the annexation of 19 down through Hilltop Cup, well, it's probably been a year now. That allowed us to now be adjacent. This property is adjacent to our city limits, so we would just like to ask for this piece of property be annexed.
Okay, I went out of order in a way. It's my fault. I should have mentioned the fire department first, but that's fine. I don't have a
Oh,
problem.
okay.
That's okay. That's
Oh,
okay.
I'm not here for the fire department.
Oh, okay. I thought. Okay.
Anthony, has the correct paperwork been filed?
I reviewed it. It looks good to go. The only issue I saw was that the mayor hadn't signed what was provided to us, but Anita told me before the meeting that what she had.
But I have, the mayor has
So
signed.
has actually signed everything.
Okay.
So with that addition, we're good to go.
Okay. I move to approve the request.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You don't want to answer any questions on the, you don't have to. If you
On the
don't.
fire, no, I
Okay,
wasn't
okay, well,
prepared for that.
okay, all right.
Thank you.
So nobody's here for the,
Chief Richardson isn't there.
no, okay, all right, well,
Well, they must not want the reimbursement then, I
Mm.
guess.
that's the only thing I can figure out, so.
I can speak about the reimbursement, but not the full-time fire department thing. I mean,
Full-time fire department.
Oh, that's what the reimbursement is what it's about, isn't it?
Yeah,
Oh, I can speak to that.
okay, I don't know what you're talking about on the other.
Okay. I thought.
You
about
made a,
when
you
asked-
made a suggestion, you made a request you brought up a point that you thought it was going to a full-time fire department last meeting.
No, I said, I don't know why they're not doing that.
Oh, yeah, that's what it was. You
Yeah.
didn't know why they weren't.
Yeah,
yeah.
and then you asked to meet, for us to meet or something, but that's,
Oh, yeah, that's not set for today.
yeah, okay. Yes, so I think I can answer questions about the reimbursement.
On the bond that was issued for the fire department,
Okay, now, the bond was never issued. So the fire department went through the design process and then we received bids on it and it was more than they wanted to do right now. Because at the time we were unsure of our fire levy funding and that was going to be the main source of the bond repayment.
okay, well,
So right now the project's just on hold. We
Okay.
haven't done anything.
okay, well, I thought I seen something where the bonds was supposed to be in a process of being $1.6 million in bonds and
We started that process with the city council all they did was accept the bid. We hadn't actually started the bond process. But when I met with the fire department and explained the funding to them, they decided that now was not the time and they didn't wish to move forward with the project.
so the bond funding.
There's no bond funding.
Okay, so when you explained it to them, what funding did you explain to them? The bond funding?
No, right. I explained how the bond worked. They had to issue a bond, but that the repayment for the bond would come from their fire levy money. And so they were not, it was when everything was going on with the funding. And they didn't think that they were ready to go forward with that with the uncertainty of the fire levy funding.
So, okay, see, I guess this is one of the things I'm talking about and I'm not harping on anybody, but when somebody doesn't have a budget put in that lays out what they're going to use the money for, and we have 16 fire departments, and if 16 fire departments would put something like this at one time in, where would it put the funding? Where would it put the funding in? It would put the funding in jeopardy. If we don't know, if the commission doesn't know about it and how your budget's set up, how can we make a decision on something? I mean, you're an accountant. I'm just telling you, we deal with 16 fire departments, not one. And to have a budget would tell us what you're doing with that money, whether and everybody, if everybody put in if everybody done what just happened and $60,000 in 16 fire departments, and we had to approve all that, somebody wouldn't.
Well, as you recall, we always received our funding without going through the reimbursement process. So we always knew how much money we were going to get. That was well within our budget for this building. As far as this reimbursement goes, if we had gone through with the bond funding, then that bill would have been paid out of those funds. That would have been reimbursed to the fire department.
Okay, well,
So all this just happened at a time where everything was changing.
okay. Well, I apologize to me. I thought if these guys would have come to the budget, we would have known exactly what was going on, whether we could have done it or not prior to all this. That's the only thing I'm saying.
Right.
So the bond's not going to be issued and the project's not going to be.
Right. There's, as of right now, there's no project. if they come up with, if they decide to do that again, well, we already have the plans, so we're not gonna have to go through that process again.
Well, I know right now the fire departments are receiving more funding through the state. Did you know that?
I have heard that, but I hadn't gotten the
They got-
details of that.
Last quarter, they got $29,000. Quarter
Oh,
before
you
that-
mean for the state insurance?
Yeah, state insurance.
Okay, yes.
And the quarter before that was 17,000. So I mean, I don't know if that's gonna continue going on or not, but all the fire departments, as long as they put in their documentation, they're gonna get that money. Now, it may be only for a year, it may be 10 years. I don't know. Do you know, John?
I don't.
Does any of the commissioners have any other questions?
Delegate Brooks could speak to it.
Yeah, that money will be from now on, it's part of the state budget.
So is it gonna be, the last quarter, it was $29,000. So is $29,000 what they're gonna get every quarter as long as they fill out the correct documentation?
Now, how it gets down to the fire department is way over my head. All we did was allocation of money, $12 million. Been implemented into our state budget from now on. It's a carrying cost that we'll have from every year. How it gets distributed down to the individual fire departments is out of my realm of expertise.
That's what we've been, believe it or not, Ruth's asked, we've tried to figure out. And I'm sure the fire department, there you go, Benny.
What we received $29,000 is a 1-year allotments. Of that $12 million, we initially were told it was going to be divided quarterly, but we actually got every bit of it in the fourth quarter of this year, which would have been, I guess, if you look at it accounting like second quarter of this year. But this money will go back to the regular. You know, we always operated off the 48,000, 50,000, all fluctuated based on. But again, we received this one lump sum, and again, the rest of the money will go back to the regular allotments until, again, I want to understand this has to be approved every year through the legislature for it to continue. I mean, I know they say they want it to, but it's still got to be approved.
Yeah, it's gonna be, I guess, it's added to a line item in the budget. And I mean, that was part of the discussion that we had when we passed this bill, was that it's gonna be from now on, it wasn't a one-time allotment of funds. And that was part of the big discussion. And we understood and we know that it was, from now on, it's gonna be the 12 million, and if an adjustment upward obviously would have to be put through the budgeting process. But that 12 million is from now on.
So if I know it went to 17,000 on the, now, I may be wrong, Vinny. So when I say quarters, I think it has to be after the quarter before they allot it or at the quarter. But on the second quarter, it was 17,000. They used to get 14,900, I think is what it was. And then the third quarter, might have been the fourth, it was 29,000. So is that 29,000 is what they should get every quarter as long as they turn in their information? You don't know that.
I'm sorry, Commissioner, I can't. really speak
And I know
on
it's a
that.
lot. You deal with a lot. I understand.
30,000-foot level, we did the 12 million, it was 6 million for one, and 3 million was for counties that have fire levies. 3 million was for to be divided up amongst the population of the county and all these kind of things. But when it leaves the state treasury and gets worked through the system to get down to the fire departments, it's way over my head. I can't speak to that intelligence.
Who would that lady, I like to know figures, everybody's figures. So who would that lady right there, Ruth, be able to contact and find out whether this is an ongoing, and you say it's ongoing?
It will be, yes.
And
That part I can speak to. It's definitely part of the budget. So when
So it's not
January,
one
when we
time.
meet, well, that'll be already included into the mix as far as the budget goes. It's already going to be in.
Not
there.
one time, it's
No, it's
continuing.
already going to be in there.
And to get the exact amount that it's, and I think when they gave the 29,000, I think they're peaking up, and I think once it peaks, that's what it'll be continuous, what I think.
One other thing, if you take the 12 million and divide it 427 apartments, it come out to roughly $14,000.
Well, that would be right.
I just caution you on, that's not how that's distributed. I just caution you on.
Well, you just said it wasn't.
Yeah, there's 12 million,
Yeah.
6 million in one pot, there's a 3 million pot, and then there's another 3 million pot.
I'm just talking about the 12 million pots divided equally. What happens is we get our state money equally anyway. You fill out your reportings with them.
Yeah, there's not a 12 million pot that's going to be distributed. Yeah.
Right, I'm sorry, I got to figure what happened. But again, it's divided out to 14,000. But we got that additional 14,000 on top of our normal third quarter allotment. See what I'm saying? So now, if you
So-
give it every year.
That's 29,000 every quarter.
not every quarter,
Like I said, it's distribution of that money,
once a year.
not part of my
So I'm
personal
just gonna get that.
reallocation funds, and then, the agencies themselves figure the particulars out.
Yeah, I mean, as we see it coming in, we watch for it, again, it's a fluctuating amount anywhere from, I guess I'm saying as low as 10,000.
Based on insurance.
Oh, yeah, that's what I was telling Mr. Gray the other day. It's a percentage of each inch. I researched it, but the 14.9
Have it all.
is what they've been getting. So if they added it to it, it should be 29,000. I don't think he understands. That's what I think.
Yeah, like I said, they were.
I'm gonna be
set
wrong,
up for counties that have fire levies, counties that we don't have fire levies, you know, the counties with fire levies get more money.
Right.
I mean, the way it ultimately plays out.
Right.
And then the 6 million, was for EMS and some other things as well, so. Like I said, once it leaves the state treasury, all we do is the allocation part, so that's the discussion we have. How it gets down, that's a debate for somebody else to take up.
I think I understand it, but I could be wrong. I've been known to be wrong before, but I think I understand how it's gonna be paid and how much more it is every quarter.
Yeah.
I think so.
Okay.
All right, does any commissioners have any questions? About the reimbursement?
No. Allison, is she on there?
She could be sleeping out there.
Is there a need? I was talking, but I had my mute on. Is there a need for reimbursement of that $58,000 at this point if the project is on hold? I didn't know if that money had been expended or not.
We've already paid the engineering firm.
Well, I mean, for my part, I would like in the future, please, for you guys to get, I mean, I know your city council had it on its agenda in advance. I mean, we would like some advance notice of an expenditure of this nature, of this size. So we can have, like Tom was saying, so we can have a chance to budget and evaluate them all, just like we do any outside request for funding. We ask for them all at once so we can look at them all at once. So we can say, does Oak Hill need this more than Boomer does? Or, that sort of thing.
Right, and I think we understand that now.
Yeah, because right now I think there's 4 fire departments that want to add on projects. And who knows, there may be 16, I don't know. I mean, so if we don't know what's going on, it's very difficult. And you budget stuff, I mean, you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to be hard on anybody, I just think dealing with 1 fire department, we deal with 16 fire departments. It's a big difference. So.
Well, and they're adjusting. I mean, I understand Fayetteville and Oak Hill have both been, that prior commissions have delegated that responsibility to those city councils. But this one has not. So, and I think we just need to make that clear going forward, and we can work together better to get these things allocated. I'm going to go ahead and move, we approve that reimbursement.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Can I bring an issue up real quick? As the commission probably recalls, Mr. Clayberry is supposed to be back today to address the issues with his property. It's not on the agenda. Mr. Canterbury also advised, and I do know that Mr. Ballard has not been to the property to look at the inside. Mr. Canterbury also just advised that he's hired counsel to represent him in this matter, and his attorney is not here today. So I don't believe we can go forward with it.
December 6th,
I'm sorry.
December 6th.
Certainly.
So what,
I mean, that's the next meeting, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. And that's the only option before the end of the year.
Okay. So I'll let Mr. Canterbury know that he can leave.
He's right there.
Okay.
all right, sorry it's taking so long.
Okay, we've got the life jackets.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. Okay. Josh, you wanna?
Yeah, the Fayette County Firemen's Association, we've talked and we've had quite a few rescues here lately that we haven't had the proper BFDs for some victims we've been getting, the
Children?
I mean, infants, children. I mean, we're getting 50-pound kids and we're putting them in a life jacket made for 200-pound people. I mean, it's the best we got right now, but it's just not adequate. Put together a thing, we'd like to get 2 infant, 2 youth. We'd also like to get 2 adults, so as well, when we go to rescue even adults, we're putting our life jackets on the adults instead of, and then we got people standing on the bank or whatever without, you know, a life jacket on themselves. So we'd like to have 2 youth, 2 infant, and 2 adults per station, just to have for the people we're rescuing.
What's that total cost?
$4,700, and that is spent here local in town with Ace Gear Shop. And I've checked around there. I've got a couple of different quotes from Brindle Mountain and NRS, and they're within $1 of, you know, of them. So
Time you do the shipping of.
yeah, exactly. And plus we're spending it here local in, you know, in county.
Okay, does, who's certified to be a rescue, swift water rescue person? Are all the volunteer fire departments that way?
The majority of them have somebody. I mean, even if it's an awareness level, there's 3 different levels of training we get. Awareness level just allows you to be on the side, you know, with a throw bag and a life jacket and stuff like that in case somebody comes past you. I mean, that's the first step into it. And then you go into operations, which lets you get out on the water, and then technician, which lets you set up rope systems and stuff like that. I got a number of how many.
I guess my question about this, Josh, was that when I read the request, I mean, I do think you need that equipment. I just wasn't convinced that all 16 fire departments needed that amount of equipment. When you look at the size of Oak Hill versus the size of some of the smaller departments, I mean, do people from every single department deploy for swift water rescue, or is it just a swift water rescue team? I need more information.
I mean, it could flood at any one of our places, and I mean, if we got a
Well, I
life
understand
jacket,
that.
if we got a life jacket there that we could get on a kid,
So that's 2 per department? Is that what you said? 2?
it's 2
6 per
two-
department.
2 adults.
Okay.
So it's 6 total per department.
6 total per department. It's 96 life jackets, I think.
We're figuring out the family.
Right. Yeah, I mean, we don't know what, you know, we don't know what we're going into ever, so I mean, we'd like to be prepared when we do.
And our swift water can deploy anywhere in this county or anywhere in the state, actually. But if they can get a life jacket on a family that's stranded or in danger till we get there, that saves the family.
Yeah, and I'm sure that if you needed more life jackets, each fire department would bring whatever they have to.
Right, we're bringing them. That's.
Yeah, well, the question I had is, I know there's so many fire departments, but all of them answer calls. To me, I thought you needed more, but I mean, you probably already have the majority of life jackets at each department. Is that correct?
I mean, for us, yes.
Okay. Okay.
I know the swift water teams have, you know, a better selection of material than the regular ones do, regular fire departments do.
Do the teams have all the PFDs they need?
Not all that we need, all of them growing every year.
Well, I did talk to Mr. Gray. I don't mean to interrupt you, Mr. Gray. We talked about a certain amount of funding if we could fund the special ops teams. And I'm going to look into that and talk to commissioners about it later on. But I think that that's something that Michael's looking into, and I think we might be able to do that. I can't answer for the other commissioners, and I can't answer the question right yet, but I am looking into it right now. So, okay.
I'm sorry, Tom, what was it that you were asking Michael? Because I just texted him to ask if we could fund those out of the fire levy, and his answer was yes.
Okay. All right. Well, I was working on a budget for the departments.
Just to give you a heads up on our special ops teams, I mean, you guys are with it, phenomenal on the county. But we do require from the fire levy side that we don't want to spend money other than in the PFDs or for the public. But personal equipment for our guys, unless we've got a minimum of 5 guys trained per department. You know, that's a cost effective thing. If you're gonna be a part of the team, you need to be a part of the team, and you've got to get the training. You know, guys, this is a different animal we're dealing with. We've got to make sure that we're prepared, and we've got the right trained people that are going into these situations. You know, Mike's got the road guys, they do this on a regular basis, and I commend them for the amount of training they take out of their time just to keep our road team, you know, top notch.
I know they've been called out to Kanawha County and the floods aren't going anywhere. They're getting worse if anything. So, I mean, I think it's a reasonable investment. I also think that the Swiftwater Rescue Team should come back to us with any additional PFD requests it has, because I do think that's a really good deal on them that ACE was able to give you. I was expecting a higher number, frankly, because I buy all of mine from there.
Yeah, they were right at $70 a piece, and they cut a good bit off.
Yeah, and usually pay up to 100. I mean, so I feel like they're a good deal.
What I can tell you is that when Johnson was here today, when we were in Kanawha County, we had to bring an infant across a flooded area.
Yeah.
And we didn't have a life jacket to put the infant, so we put an adult jacket on the car seat. And brought the baby.
Well, it'll be taken care of today, hopefully.
For what you do with these, it's a no-brainer. I'll motion to go ahead and approve the life jacket purchase.
I already moved it.
Oh, okay, well, I'll second it then.
All in favor?
Remember,
Aye.
I'm deaf for 2 more months, okay?
That's why I didn't whistle.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, Lord, please don't whistle.
I won't whistle anymore, I promise. All right, well, we got
Got
Ruth,
4 minutes, Ruth. If you
can
get a short one.
we do that early or not?
Well,
The
really,
bid opening. What is that?
you wanna take?
No.
Okay, that'd be fine. Let's do a break. We're bringing meeting back to order. John, hold your ears.
Okay, just.
We're a little late for the 9:45. Go ahead, Ruth.
So this is a bid opening, this is Amy's bid opening.
You both can open them. That's.
I'm gonna give them
It's
all to
for
John.
the CFI, the repair on the sheriff's department buildings, and you received 3 bids. So once you guys open them and see who they're from, and the amounts, they'll have to be reviewed.
Who are the bids from?
One's from, I guess I haven't opened yet, but it looks like it's from Pullman. This is from Pullman, SST. This one is from Mary Beth Steen or Steen.
You probably have to
Chris-
open it all the way.
Crisco System. Crisco System Incorporated.
This is from Keystone Masonry. Okay, Keystone is $176,092.
I'm gonna open that one too. Pullman is $157,400.
You repeat it?
$157,400.
No wonder you gave me this one. Got it up there, okay. Okay, this is Crisco Systems.
But you're glad you're there right now.
Yeah.
I think they were afraid somebody was.
I would
opening it.
definitely gave that to Miss Taylor.
That's a lot of tape.
Would have been armed.
Oh, it's sealed on every angle that you can.
Everybody's
Hey.
needing at this one.
Don't need to worry about that.
See, if I would have brought my pocket knife, I could have got into it. With Amy on the assist, and it's sealed on top of that. That's a new version of sealed bids. Okay. And Trisco Systems is $273,639.
The other one you opened from 76, what, John?
I put it on.
So is
there.
this where we pick the
So-
lowest bid and then send it to Dan Sneed to review them all?
We actually get them all three reviewed, because just because it's the lowest bid, doesn't mean they hit all the proper. And I don't know if Dan will do it, it may have to be,
Structural engineer.
yeah, a structural engineer.
Well, I make a motion to approve the
You can't approve it, it has to be a review.
Oh, I'm
It has to
sorry.
be reviewed first.
I'm sorry.
So we just had to open today.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I thought we could approve it and then, but yeah, you're right.
All right. you
And
got-
we also did, we were approved for our extension from CFIA, since this work is masonry, it will need to take place in the springtime. So they gave us an extension to get this work completed by June 2024.
Awesome. Thank you.
Okay, Ruth, you got 5 minutes to knock out something.
Okay, so the next item, Amy, did you get a bid from the memorial building? I don't know if you're ready to address the probation relocation or not. Allison, do you want to leave that till later?
I can do it either way. If you want to knock other stuff out, we can go ahead with that.
So okay, we'll go ahead with number 3. There's a Preservation Alliance, a West Virginia grant application that we're looking at for the memorial building masonry repair.
Back by the
So-
library.
So we had a contractor come yesterday, and he's going to put together a phased budget for various repairs that need to take place at the memorial building on the exterior. And the porch where there's a lot of water intrusion down into the basement. He said the whole porch needs to be redone. So he is going to write up those budgets for us with the understanding that we're doing this for a grant. This grant is a $60,000 limited grant, and they're gonna give away as little as 10,000, as much as 60,000. So it's, we're just gonna have to put it out there and see what we get. But it is due November 17th. I want to have it done by November 14th, based on when we get the information back from the contractor. So what I need you to do today is approve the application. There is a 15% match from the commission. It can be in kind as well. But I just need it approved, and then authorize Tom to sign it when it's ready, once I get the information back from the contractor.
How much would the match be on that roof? Do
We don't know.
have any
We don't know
idea?
how much
Yeah,
the
we don't know how
project
much it
is, yeah.
okay.
And then if this grant, this is just one that's just coming up right now, so we want to go for it. But there are several in the springtime that will be coming up that we can also go for these projects.
Well, I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Aye.
And then Allison, you said you could go ahead and do probation.
Yeah, I can do it. So we received a letter on October 20th from Judge Blake that it was pretty disturbing, because he really didn't take our last letter as we intended, and he was concerned that we should have invested the money into the security equipment before the grant approval came. I think he doesn't understand that grants will not reimburse prior expenditures. So we weren't really clear, I guess, that we had to wait for the grant approval, yes or no, before we invest additional funds in. Further, the prosecuting attorney volunteered to communicate with the court on our behalf, because he interacts with them more often, and he was willing to take these updates on probation to the court rather than make them wait until the commission was able to meet and send another letter in response to whatever the latest correspondence was. But Judge Blake took that as a deterioration in communication between the commission and the court rather than as we intended, something to make things more efficient. And that was a kindness offered by the prosecuting attorney, not something we dictated. Further in his letter, he said that he has informed us that we will relocate the probation department to its new building between November 27th and December 1st. And while the court doesn't really have the authority to order such things, we are going to attempt to honor this request. We've reached out to movers, and the movers have verified they are available that date. The Supreme Court has been down yesterday and today to install its specialized security equipment, and we have reached out to KTS, which is trying to got the equipment ordered as soon as it could based on when the grant funding was available. We are not sure whether all of that equipment is going to be available and installed by those dates. However, it's the court's probation department, and if the court is comfortable with its probation department moving into that space before all of that is complete, that is its option. So I recommend that we go ahead and I will draft a letter for the commission to put all of this in writing to send back to the judges and the Supreme Court and the chief of probation to let them all know what we're planning to do. This deterioration in cooperation between the court and the commission is not deteriorated from our view. I feel like we have done everything that the court has asked us to do, and then some, including buying a building that we had not been asked to buy to house its expanding personnel. So that is a one-sided deterioration as far as I'm concerned, and is not on the commission's behalf. I don't know if there's anything else. So I just thought I would outline the content of the letter for my colleagues. I will encapsulate that in a letter before the end of the week, and we'll float it around, and we get Tom to sign it and send it upstairs once everybody's had a chance to look at it. So I'm going to move that we do respond to the court in the form of the letter I just described.
Second, all in favor? And I do want to make note, when Ms. Taylor said we purchased a building that we didn't have to purchase, we did purchase building that we didn't plan on purchasing, just so probate can move over to, and the sheriff agreed to move to this new building we purchased. I think it was taxpayers $290,000. Is that correct, Ruth? Do something in order for probate.
So far.
So far. So,
I said so far. It's yeah.
So we purchased a building we didn't have to purchase just to so they could have another building. All right, it's 10 o'clock.
Sarah Davis, Davis,
Sure, yeah.
and there should be some pictures for it.
Yeah, first, just one second.
This kind of ties into what I asked to be on.
Yeah, he's an item on the agenda. They kind of go hand in hand. He's number 10, I think.
Right, I'm on exhibit A.
Okay, well then. Suggestions?
Let me present to the commission something came to my attention earlier this week. Mr. Tony had communicated with an employee, I believe it was in Mercer County. He's also where he is now prosecuting attorney over in Oak Hill. Was talked with Oak Hill as well about how they're handling the dilapidated housing and structure issue. So Mercer County, Oak Hill has the same grant that we have, and basically what those entities are doing is they are asking property owners for permission to go on the property, demolish, destroy, dispose, and they're not trying to obtain reimbursement. And the reality is this is grant money we've obtained from the DEP. If we don't use it, we're gonna have to give it back. We have it there. It's there to demolish and dispose of buildings. Emma Holmes is here in the commission meeting today. And Ms. Holmes's case kind of hit a chord with me. She asked if she should come to the meeting today, and I said it probably wouldn't hurt, but I asked her if she had a smartphone. She said, well, I don't have a cell phone. She's on a fixed income. And I think Ms. Holmes's case is one where it would make sense for us to use the grant money without any expectation of repayment. And if the commission would give us the green light to use the grant money, we might have better luck because we're not asking for anything from the property owner other than permission to go on the property and demolish and dispose of the building. So we get rid of it. We do it in a way that's not necessarily in conflict with the property owner, and we have the money to do it. So it would make sense to me that if the county commission gives us the approval, that we be able to pursue the demolition and dispose in this fashion. My thought process was to evaluate the financial circumstances of the property owner and to make a decision based on that. And like I said, Ms. Holmes, I think based on what, she said she was willing to pay us $100 a month. And with the bid, it's going to take her 7 years to pay us back. And she said that, based on my conversation with her, I kind of got the impression we'd be taking most, if not all, of her monthly expendable income if we entered into this financial arrangement with her. So I think it would make sense if we want to really expedite the process. This would be a great way of doing it. And like I said, this is based on what Wes has told me, this is how Oak Hill's proceeding. This is how Mercer County's proceeding. And along with that, I'm not suggesting that we not pursue our ordinance-based process. We can do both at the same time. So essentially, if a property owner is willing to cooperate with us, we can use the grant funding and get a consent to demo and dispose. If the property owner isn't willing to work with us, then we can use the ordinance process and go to circuit court and get a court order. So I think we should, my recommendation would be that we use both processes.
Well, are you done, Anthony?
Yes, sir.
I want to make sure. Believe this or not, that's one of the reasons I wanted to form the LRA. There's another process you can go and ask them working together and either to develop the property, clean the property up, develop, and a negotiation with this is one of the reasons I wanted the LRA. They have more flexibility to work with property owners and stuff like that. So I don't have a problem with what you're saying. I agree with it.
And they will maintain ownership.
Yes.
Just make sure.
Yeah, well, Ms. Holmes was always going to maintain
Right.
ownership. It was just a function of, she was going to sign a deed of trust and promissory note and pay us back. But my suggestion would be that we simply evaluate property owners based on their financial need and make a decision based on that. That would be my suggestion. And Ms. Davis, who is supposed to be attending the hearing today, I have a feeling this scenario is something that might be beneficial to her. As I understand what Angela has said, she's indicated a willingness to tear the structure down and dispose of it, but she's asked for time because of financial restraints. But I can get her. It's just simply a function of changing the information in the agreement. And if Ms. Davis would, assuming the county commission approves it, we could get the ball rolling on her property.
Well, I asked Anthony and I discussed this for Tom and John's information last week, and my concerns were that we have some kind of policy to determine who gets helps with grants and who doesn't. Specifically, I raised some issues, and I'm not decided on what that policy should look like necessarily. And he and Wes were going to discuss it. It sounds like income based was one of the suggestions Anthony made. I also wondered whether we should be offering that funding to people who do not live in state. Another was, we have prioritized certain areas of the county for cleanup, specifically along our main roads. For some reason, I can't see the commission on the screen, Wilbert. I don't know what's going on. Somebody else is showing up there.
There's a window.
Okay, that's better. We're back. So those were considerations I had in my mind. Like, are we going to prioritize if we're going to offer grant funding, even if the property owner is out of state, to low income property owners? Is it only property owners who own one property, not those who own multiple dilapidated properties in the county? We know who some of those owners are. I feel like we need to have some kind of standard base that we're following and some kind of plan with regard to our priorities. Now, we have prioritized, we've already set the priority of, and had Angela look at the homes along those tourist routes, like 612 has a lot of bad stuff, 60, Historic Route 60, and those. So, those are just things for you all to consider. But I think those are things that we need to consider and come up with some guidelines, at least, on how the grant funding is used, because I don't want there to be, an out-of-state slumlord who owns properties in several different states getting the benefit of grant money in West Virginia, if we can use an alternative route.
No, I agree with you.
One thing that I want to bring to mind is that each of these locations we're wanting to rehab to build housing on. So is there any way that we can attach to the deed that no vacation rentals can be built on that property for X amount of years?
The reality is we can put if the property owner is willing to place a restrictive covenant on their property in exchange for the county using grant money to demo and dispose of the structure, then certainly we can do that.
Okay.
I know the LRA is working. I haven't really communicated too much with the commission because we're in the early stages of coming through a process in order to try to acquire these properties, help clean them up. But we're working on a process right now, basically working with trying to work with the property owner on a joint venture or to clean it up and sell it for residential commercial property, and working together on it instead of this other process. But still, we can still keep the same process on certain, like Ms. Taylor said, out of state and stuff like that. But
Well, there's one property I filed the suit on it yesterday. I mean, there's two owners, one lives out of state. He's pretty much ignored everything.
Yeah.
I mean, we've sent notices, we've tried to call them, he's ignored it. And then the in-state owner, who correctly called Angela at one point, never actually filed anything or asked for a hearing. And for people such, property owners that treat the process that way, that's why we have the ordinance, and that's why we have the process that we do. Now that suit's been filed, and once they get served, we may find ourselves in the situation, and I've communicated with one of the neighbors down there yesterday, tried to call another one back. They had actually called me. I wasn't able to get through to the second one, but I think, this, by giving us the ability to use the grant money and not expecting any kind of repayment, I think it'll help expedite the process of being able to demo and dispose of the structures.
I have no problem with it.
Yeah, I'd like to do it. I would just like to have some guidelines for the LRA that's going to use the LRA to guidelines. It's going to be Angela's office and beautification committee. I'd like the guidelines to come out of there. If it's going to be the commission, I'd like it to come out of here. I think we need to decide who's going to be making the decisions on who gets the grants, and make sure that there's some guidelines in place. What are your thoughts, Anthony, on who should make the grant decisions?
I mean, I don't necessarily have a problem with the enforcement agency making that call. I mean, they're the ones who do the initial consideration of the property. That would probably make the most sense.
So that being the beautification committee?
Yeah, yes. It's referenced as the enforcement agency in the statute. But it's the same thing.
Well, can
But I
you
also
and Wes come up?
I also think the county commission has I mean, my suggestion, at least insofar as Ms. Holmes is concerned, I would suggest we approve the use of the grant funding for her situation based on, I mean, she lives in West Virginia. She's on a fixed income. We already have a bid. I mean, I think the county commission could at least approve her situation. And I don't know enough about Ms. Davis to really make a representation to the county commission, but I think we could also at least consider that today until we get an actual framework of guidelines.
I don't have a problem with it. It's fine with me.
Yeah, and we definitely need to start allocating that funding or we are in danger of losing it.
Well, and that's the thing. And I feel like I know enough about Ms. Holmes' situation to recommend to the county commission that we go ahead and take care of that with the grant funding and not ask for any type of reimbursement from her.
So is the policy going to be that the beautification committee make recommendations to the commission about who should receive grant funding, and then the commission as the exec
I think
would approve it?
I think the beautification committee should be able to make that call. I mean, you guys meet what, once
a month.
Once a month?
Mhm. And we can just make a if the property owner contacts us and asks them questions.
It might be worthwhile to give the authority to either the commission or the enforcement agency to help expedite the process, since the enforcement agency only meets once a month.
I'd like the commission to make the final call at the enforcement agency's recommendations. I know that we do meet more often, and we could always, even without the enforcement committee's recommendations, we get a decision on certain cases if we don't want to wait. What are you, John?
We can just add that to the list of issues we take up when we have the presentments to the commission on the properties. It would make sense that we deal with it all at the same time.
Yeah.
And the other thing is, we may, instead of presenting a case for the issuance of a complaint to the commission, we could potentially be presenting a case to the commission with an agreement from the property owner to demo and destroy, or I'm sorry, demo and dispose.
Anthony, could you and Wes come up with those policy guidelines for us?
We can. And I think we want to focus on the main routes through the county, financial circumstances, and we want
residency.
Okay, we can do that.
Anthony, we do have one other property owner that had a hearing with you guys before that I think meets those qualifications. She lives in Crawley. So maybe I can get her on the December agenda.
Okay.
Reach out to her. Is that okay?
Yeah, please do that, Angela. And please also provide to Wes and Anthony the guidance we gave you on which routes, so they can incorporate that into the policy.
Sure.
But as far as Ms. Holmes is concerned, I think the commission can approve that today if you're willing to do so.
Angela?
Yes.
This is Mrs. Davis.
Yes, David.
Go ahead and talk to him.
Miss Davis?
Yes, I had a problem getting connected. I don't know what happened.
You're okay. We'll be with you in just 1 second. Just hang on for us, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I don't have a problem with what you said, Anthony.
Okay.
Yeah, I
Then,
agree.
one of the commissioners will need to move to, use the grant funding to demolish and dispose of the structure on Ms. Holmes' property without any requirement for reimbursement.
So moved.
So moved. Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
aye.
That's it, correct?
No, it's Miss
You
Davis.
want to talk to Miss Davis now?
Well, that's the one we just approved. wasn't it?
No, that's what.
Okay,
That was
I'm
Miss
sorry.
Holmes.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm getting confused here.
No, you're okay. So you guys should have seen some pictures of Miss Davis. Her property is actually, we've gotten several complaints. It's on Wallace Drive in Tennessee. It has been vacant for quite a few years. So she is here today to, basically let us know her plan and then, we can go from there. Miss Davis, can you hear them?
Yes, I do. I hear it.
Okay, if you will tell them what you want to do with your property there here in Kimberly.
Well, right now I'm battling with cancer, but I did want some more extended time to get it cleaned up.
Okay, I had talked to your son previously and he had indicated that you guys want the house torn down. Is that still the case?
He wanted the house to I didn't hear that part.
He wants the house torn down. That was his goal, was to tear down the house.
Yes,
That is his intention?
yes.
Okay.
But I needed more time to get him down there and, to get it straightened out, to tear that down and clean that up. Cause it's a mess.
Ms. Davis, are you on a fixed income,
Yes,
social security?
yes,
And you're the only owner of this property?
yes.
Okay. Would you be willing to give the county commission permission to have a contractor go in and take care of demolishing and disposing of the house?
I can have that done. I just need time to get somebody down there from there or from here to clean that up.
I think you might want to explain more what you're talking about.
Miss Davis, this is Allison Taylor. I'm one of the commissioners. What he's asking is, we have some grant funding available for people, for low income individuals or fixed income individuals who need. So we have grant money. So what he's asking you is if you're willing to let the county commission use some of that money to tear down your house at no expense to you.
Oh, okay. Well, thank you so much. I didn't understand what he said. Thank you.
Would you be willing to let us do that, Miss Davis?
Yes.
Okay. Well, what I'll have to do is I'll have to get you the paperwork for you to sign, giving the county commission permission to hire a contractor, go on the property to demo and dispose of it. And then I will need you to sign that with a witness in front of a notary and then get it back to me. You can scan it and email it, or if you find that to be a little too difficult, you can always send it to us the old-fashioned way through the mail.
Oh, okay. Yes. Okay.
Can I email you the document to print?
I won't have any way to print it, and I'd rather mail it. Can you
Okay,
mail
so
it?
you want me to mail it to you?
Yes, I'll take
Okay.
it.
I'll go ahead and I'll send it to you the old-fashioned way, and I'll even send you a self-addressed stamped envelope so you can just get it signed, notarized, and sent back to us.
So, well, thank you so much. Thank you.
And the county commission will need to move to use the grant funding for Miss Davis's property with no expectation or requirement of reimbursement.
So moved.
Second, all in favor? Aye.
Second,
Okay.
aye.
Little late, but it's okay. We'll take it.
Uh-huh.
All right.
Thank you, Miss Davis.
Okay, can I give you a call later, Angela?
Yes, ma'am.
All right, thank you so much, guys.
You're welcome.
All right, bye-bye.
We have 3 on deck to be demoed. 2 of them, we already have bids on, we don't have a bid on this one.
We do not, and I was gonna ask the commission, if I could go ahead and advertise for hers and go ahead and advertise for the other one I was speaking about, just to go ahead and get that in the paper ASAP.
I don't have a problem.
Yes.
We gotta make a motion on that or just,
No,
No, just
yeah.
not for the bid.
No,
okay.
Thank you.
Can we take a break before 10:30? It's a 5 minute.
yep,
I mean, I would really like to. Like I'm
Like or need?
it's fine with me.
okay. Okay, bring the meeting back to order. Yeah, John don't want me to whistle.
Use the gavel.
John don't want me to whistle. It's not big enough.
Okay, you don't have to get it hard.
Okay, I just want to make sure that meeting's coming back to order. I didn't whistle now. Is Miss Taylor on there?
Yes,
Be glad you wasn't here, Allison.
I'm sorry. You too. I swear. Okay, we're moving on to the 10:30 and let's see here. Lafayette Post 149 Memorial Building discussion. Did somebody want to?
Good morning, commissioners.
Good morning.
good morning.
My name is Elmer Pritt, and I'm a member of Lafayette Post 149 of the American Legion, located right down the street there on West Maple Avenue. And accompanying me today is a committee that from the American Legion. I'd like to introduce them. Bob Bone, who is presently commander. He's from over at Victor. Russell Compton from over at Mawson. He's the adjutant. Our other member, Garland Burke, could not be here. Or is not here. He's the past commander and currently chaplain of Lafayette 149, and Milton Dotterwich. Milton is past commander and currently vice commander. I'd like to begin. All right. Judge Blake is here, and he's also a member of it. And maybe Garland will come in, but anyway, I'm one of those older guys, as you can tell from looking at me. But I still have a certain amount of passion and compassion for our veterans in this wonderful country of ours. And if you don't mind, and I don't want to insult you by not knowing a lot about history. I wouldn't know as much as what I do probably if I wasn't active and also a veteran and care about those kinds of things that I'm sure you do too. Touch on a little bit about the history of the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Building right down the street there. The memorial building was constructed following World War II by the returning surviving family, surviving soldiers who fought in World War II in both the Pacific theater and the European theater against Germany and Italy, as well as Japan. And they came back and they got with their families and their friends and residents from all over Fayette County, and saw to it that this building was constructed. And in the lobby, if you'll notice, we have about 800 names of veterans who served there, and a lot of probably your relatives, if you're longtime family in Fayette County, and we had a total of Well, I'll just give you the figures of who have died or how many we've lost. And that's who we represent here today. This great country of ours, those veterans. And we had, in World War I, we had 147 soldiers killed in action or missing in action or died of as prisoner of war. World War II, we had 87 in Fayette County. We had 47 from Korea and 22 in Vietnam. Most of us guys here are Vietnam era veterans, and we all bleed red, white, and blue, and the American flag. When you go in, we currently have Post 149 has 130 members. And we represent the vast majority of the 3,326 veterans living in Fayette County. As some of you might know, we, as a state, we have the highest participation in the military of any state. And West Virginia, as you see the flag there, you know that Fayette County itself is very patriotic. That we have a VFW in Anstead, and they too, sure you have similar thoughts regarding the memorial building as what we do. And I'll now get to the point of why we are here. We are concerned with the need to do some long-term maintenance on the exterior, and been around the building, and you know that there is some pointing of brick in the fascia. We face a problem there of water getting in there sometime, and when the ice build up, it's going to pop some of those bricks. So the building is in dire need of proper maintenance of things that's occurring now, as well as to ensure that this building continues into perpetuity. And certainly better shape than what it is right now. And when I use the word maintenance, I'm not referring to keeping the building clean. Okie Skidmore does a fantastic job of doing what he can with what he has worked with. So this, when I say maintenance, I'm talking about maintaining the building, not the day-to-day activities. But you have a lot of needs there, and I'm not going to get into every little specific one of those needs, but they are there, and I'll be more than happy to suggest these specific things if you so desire. But I think knowing how the commission keeps on top of things, I would certainly think that you folks are aware of those problems that the building has. And as I said earlier, a lot of, not in these words, but a lot of blood, sweat, and tears and donations went into the construction of this building, but as the years have gone by, all buildings get old, as we do, and it needs some attention, and it would be indeed a tragedy should this building, the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Building, I refer to that sometimes as a monument to Fayettonians or Fayette Countyans who died defending our freedom in this country. And it's too big and it's too important for this to happen. And to me, it's the most important building in Fayette County because of what it stands for. And Lafayette, 149, tries to help. We were here before you about 6 or 8 years ago, maybe 10 now, you know how time flies. And you did some major, that the commission did some major work. And we stand ready to try to help and do what we can. A few years ago, we came to our attention and that the building really needed some handrails on front of it, and we were able to come up with some money, and we did that. We paid for those handrails. And but you certainly have our moral support. And anything you can do, and we will stand behind you. And support you in any and every way you can to do this building. And I'm now I have one more thing after I take my next steps, but I'm going to ask Legion members at this time, if with your permission, if they might have a chance to say something that perhaps I've left out. I tried to be as comprehensive in my presentation as I possibly can, hitting on the high points, but knowing me, I'm sure I left something out. So committee members, Mr. Thompson.
Yeah, I don't know where everybody knows.
Russell, if you, Russell, would you please stick up to the microphone here and so everyone can hear you out? Internet land.
Yeah, they can't hear, everybody can't hear you if you don't come up here, Russell. We're not calling you out, we're just bringing you up to where I can hear you.
Can you hear me now? My name's Russell Compton. And I come from a long line of military people. And that building is very important to me. To keep it going, whatever it takes to keep it going, you know, whatever. It's like anything else, you don't take care of it, falls apart. So it does need some maintenance done on it. And I say I come from a long line of military. I'm a member of the SAR. That's the Sons of the American Revolution. In order to be a member of that, you have to have somebody that fought in the American Revolution. My fourth great grandfather was killed. Abraham Compton was killed in the American Revolution. Since then, I've had everybody in my family has been fought by the name of Compton, been in all the major skirmishes and wars since then, right on down to World War I, World War II, Korea, Vietnam. My son is certainly serving now with 31 years of service. So there's been somebody with my name in the military since the American Revolutionary War. So they can see my feelings towards preserving that building. And it's, and I'd like to thank any and all help we can get. Thank you.
Mr. Lodowich.
I'm not a native of Fayette County, but I've been living here since 1977, so I feel like I am kind of a native. I remember I had, well, two of my sons played basketball in that building for Fayetteville elementary, middle school and high school. Had elementary kids in the building that used to coach elementary basketball in that building. And I remember, some of you may be too young to remember, we had some wonderful entertainment in that building over the years. Thanks to Charlie McCoy, a lot of it, a native of Fayetteville. And I remember seeing some wonderful entertainment in there. I've seen circuses in there and all different kinds of things. Right now, that could not be done even if we had someone to do it, because the seats are falling apart upstairs. The building is in such bad repair. It could not be done. And maybe if it's repaired and it's put back in good shape, the nicest thing in that building right now is the floor. Maybe we could get some more things into the memorial building. And it is a Fayette County Memorial Building, even though it's located here in Fayetteville, and it represents everyone in the county. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Commander Bone.
was a wonderful building at one time. I know my wife and I have been to different country music shows and whatever that they have there. Why they stopped having them, I don't know. But it would be a total shame to just let that go by the wayside. It is about veterans. And it's not just the veterans from Vietnam or World War II. You've got different wars that's been going on around the world. We have soldiers all over the world right now that's serving the country in danger. And each and every one of those soldiers, you know, it's a memorial to them. And it should be preserved. I'm not saying it's got to be like a Taj Mahal or nothing like that, but the basics should be maintained. I can remember going to a lot of good shows that they put on, singers coming in with. I haven't heard of any of them being in there for a long time. Whether it's because of the maintenance or what, I don't know. But the building should be used, it should be maintained. And I think if they, you know, work on it, getting some different shows in there to produce the money, it would have to pay for the maintenance of the building. And it's a memorial to all soldiers who served, either be it Vietnam or Desert Storm or wherever. It's a memorial for soldiers who have served. And personally, I think it should be maintained in the proper condition. Thank you.
Well, I'm about ready to wrap up our presentation here. And I guess I would get right down where the rubber hits the road now. And I'll ask a question, and I think it summarizes our hopes, and hopefully you can have similar thoughts, but we would like to know, what are your plans for the Soldiers and Sailors Memorial Building here in Fayetteville? That's the bottom line.
Well, I do want to let you know, and Russell probably knows this, my grandfather served, my father served, my son served 4 years in the Marine Corps, my niece served 10 years in the Marine Corps. So I understand. So I just want everybody to know that my family has served. I didn't serve, but my family did. So, and I agree with you. And I think we're in the process of trying to do something about it. Money is, I mean, we're trying to go for grants and other things like that.
Well, it's even about, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
That it goes beyond grants. And I'm going to be writing a letter of support, stating some of what has been said here today. But I think grant or no grant, this building has to survive. And the quicker we get onto it, with inflation being what it is, and I didn't have to tell you about that. I'm not telling you your job, not even suggesting it. I'm an old retired guy, and I've done my thing in my life. But I want to be, you know, I hope that this building can continue to reflect the values and ethics and even morality of the people in Fayette County, and we are indeed much more patriotic, I think, than much of the rest of the nation. But I would. Can you be more specific of what you hope or plan to do?
Ruth, have we got prices on the roof or anything? We have done that before.
So we replaced the back half of the roof. Sonny could explain it better because what you up there.
I mean, we have done some.
Yeah, and they got a contractor yesterday looking at the masonry and then the porch concrete repair. What was that, Amy? This supposed to be sealed.
Yeah, the entire porch has multiple cracks that's causing leaks in the basement offices, and they're concerned about the structural integrity if that continues on. So it needs to be repaired and then sealed more often than it has been. We will have to replace the railings again because it's they've just rusted and they haven't been painted over the years, but it's just time for those to be replaced. The molding that goes around the building on 3 sides is wooden, and it looks, if you can see it, it's rotting and it's peeling, the paint's peeling off of it. That is probably contributing to some of the water infiltration on the brick. And so that's that white mineral that you see coming through there. That was also from the previous leaks on the roof where they had that replaced 2 or 3 years ago over the stage area towards the back of the building. But the contractor said that there is definitely still some water infiltration happening because he can see moss growing and other things.
You can't help but notice that the flame in front stands for something really important. And, so.
Do you want to explain what's going on with the flame?
So the flame, I think it was Oki explained, the gas line going to the flame, water goes down in it and rusts it, and it won't work anymore. The gas line won't support it. And he said he's looked into other options. Oki can tell you all about it.
And I think Oki, don't
It was
interrupt you.
working for a little while. We spent a substantial amount of money, I think, replacing the gas lines and getting it working. And then I guess the weather.
It was blowing out every day, or every
Yeah.
time it rained, it was
Right.
blowing out, and then they couldn't get it turned back on.
And I'm not trying to throw anybody under the bus or Oki or anything, I love him to death. But I think he's allotted $80,000 or $100,000 a year for not only
Last
make.
year, there was $100,000 in that budget and it was left with 89.
Yeah, so he could have used that 89,000
Right.
for anything he wanted to use it for. I'm not throwing him under, I'm not here to throw stones at anybody, but we do allot so much money every year towards the memorial building.
Well, thank you very much.
Yeah, we do that.
I wasn't aware of that.
Yes.
And we did obtain a quote to put a new HVAC system in. So heating and air conditioning for the gym area, and that would hopefully go towards being able to allow us to have better events, different events, especially in the summertime. I don't know if anybody sat through a graduation in that building. It is not fun. So we do have that quote, and that's kind of on our list of priorities as well.
And then I'll also say our Parks and Rec board helps manage that building, and we hired a new park director. And I'm just telling him about to throw him under the bus because he has ideas, but he hasn't been here 6 months yet. 3. Yeah.
You haven't been here long.
I can't
think
judge the
2
2
months.
months. If you guys want me to, if you guys want to hear a couple plans, the big thing that we want to work on is like the budget that Tom's talking about. When we're lucky enough to take the budget from a commission, our goal is going to be spend that money. Not wastefully, but to get it right where it's supposed to go. And the topics that you guys are talking about, that propane, that flame, as a kid, I know what that means to you guys. So that's one of the topics that we want to work on the floor. But also that memorial building's changed a little bit from when I was a kid. I'm 52. I remember those being there, but now it's more of a community center, not just an event center for gaining the money. So if you watch, like right now, like Thursday night's pickleball, Wednesday night's cheerleading, Tuesday night, every night that building is getting used a little bit for our community, which is a great thing. And so as a town, we don't get to see it all the time. But when I'm in there scheduling those dates, I'm starting to see how busy it is. Starting next month, we have basketball all the way through every day except for Sunday. So as much as we used to remember it as a place where gaining revenue and gaining a ton of money, you guys as a county people, you pay for that building. So that's why we're trying to get these community guys in there to use that building, because it's ours as a county. So we have to change a little bit of our perspective on it. Instead of trying to quit and bring a big show like we used to see as kids. But man, if you go there on a Saturday and see how many people are in there as kids playing basketball on the same court that how many of us in spring play on? And I didn't make the 7th grade basketball team. I got cut. I'll never forget that building for a bunch of good reasons too, but that's something to think about. And you guys as a group across the street there are really important to help us guide through that. And think about the projects we want to do. And I know Oki himself and I have had talk to steer and to start thinking, prioritize of what needs to happen first before that building gets taken out. So I do let you guys know, it's easy to forget sometimes like how busy that place is. And I didn't know until a couple months ago. And now it's like, there's all kinds of, we're looking at simple things of getting more places for old ladies to plug in their crock pot for Saturday chili in there when you're selling it. It was like, there's such little things that are going on, but the big projects are getting listed and we're starting to find a way to pack those off. We're going to spend that money that these guys have designated to use and we'll put it in the right spot.
Well, I guess I'll try to close and get out of here. I know you have a lot of things, but we recognize that the commission is, some of you are relatively new, and we appreciate what the commission has done in the past, and we thank you for what you're going to do in the future. I'm a little more enlightened a little bit here this morning with what is occurring, and hopefully that we can continue that. And thank you very much for your time. We greatly appreciate it, and we'll be around.
And would you give Ruth your information? I have an idea I want to discuss with y'all. Maybe later on. I gotta thinking about it a little bit. You got it? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and I would like to make sure that they are updated on anything that we're doing. Brian, along the lines with the updates, so that they know, and thank you guys for everything you've done for this country, for the county. Your passion definitely shows for the memorial building, and I appreciate it.
Thank you very much. And do you by any chance want a copy of my notes?
Did you get it all? Thank you
so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
See you, Russell. I tell you what, that man has forgot more about honeybees than I'll ever know.
All right, Ruth, I guess. Oh, she's still here? Okay. Well, I've been dealing with Chris and Brian on this pool design for about four weeks. Sitting down and talking to them, discussing some things. The last time that we sat down and talked, I actually put some figures together myself. I gave it to the two commissioners. Unexpectedly, I didn't think Brian was going to be here, but I was going to present it to the commission anyway, the way I felt about it. And my figures, that probably wasn't exactly right, but I try to do stuff on my own just to compare with what everybody else does. But Chris come in with this options that me and Brian discussed with him a couple of weeks ago. So I think he's closer now. And we had some bids come in at 4 million, 7, 9, and $10 million. Well, was they 112 too?
Yeah, the Taj Mahal.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I probably threw that one completely out the door. The reason I don't have it here with me. But I want the commission to look at what I have, and then we'll look at what he has. I'd like to still, it's still a lot of money. I'd still like for us to think about, I'm not maybe funding the first stage. I asked Chris and him a long time ago to put this development in stages. There's no way that we could fund everything at one time. So he's come back now and he's put it in stages. And I'd like for us to look at it, at least get a design, so we can at least utilize a design and some figures, but at least go after earmarks or grants in order to get it done if we can't fund it. So Chris, do you want to present to the commission?
Yeah, well,
people what you have?
Yeah. After meeting with Tom, we went back to the drawing board trying to come up with an idea to, one, get the pool open right away, get what you have fixed where you can start functioning with it. So, it's a lot of unknowns and stuff like that, but we've got it to where we feel like you can repair what's there, use the existing pumping system and stuff that's there now, and get the pool and the baby pool back up and running for right at $1 million.
Now that's provided in these figures. I don't mean to interrupt you, Chris. Now that is replacing, if we have to replace all the piping and filtration.
Yeah, there's going to be a little bit of that because we're raising the bottom of the pool up. So the intake and the returns will be changed a little bit to accommodate for the new liner and get away from the problematic areas that is there now. So that stuff will be, that's what's included with that piping and the plumbing. Now, this is assuming that the existing filtration system will function and work properly, which it was when they turned it off. So that's all we have to go with. So that will be a disclaimer in the whole design. If you turn it on and it's not working now, then it's back to the drawing board with the pump system itself. So we were trying to go from fix the pool, then the next step was going to be the zero entry and the slides coming in, and then the third phase would be a splash pad out towards the entrance. With the addition of a zero entry and the slides and all that, the additional loads that is going to be the stresses on the water system itself, there has to be an intermediate phase, which would include mechanical upgrades to do it the way that it's shown on the piece of paper here. You would do the mechanical upgrades as phase 2, then phase 3 would be your actual plunge pool and your zero entry installation. I could not get that one to $1 million. It was 1.6. We've kicked it around as much as we can. And then your fourth phase would be adding the slide towers and the pumps to get the water to the top of the towers and stuff like that. And it comes in at right at 700,000.
You see, and I don't mean to interrupt you, but what I wanted is I wanted the second stage to be the slides on the entry pool. Because the most expensive stage is a third stage. In my opinion, you want to do the most expensive last.
Absolutely.
Is the way I feel about it. I think you had a little bit backwards, but I
well,
don't know how the other commissioners feel about it. But
with water technologies, what Matt's wanting to do is, and this is what I was talking to you a little bit earlier. If once the pool's up and running and he can look at and we can get some studies on the existing system and get some performance on it, see how it's performing. We might be able to bypass some or all of what I'm calling phase 2, the mechanical upgrades. We might be able to bypass that if the system will support it. If that's the case, and the commission would want to, like we talked about, maybe doing completely away with the zero entry, just doing a plunge pool with the slides, we can do that. So what Matt and them's wanting to do is, his idea is let's get started on designing the fix of the pool now so that we can get it up and running. In the figures that what we have in here, he will come down with his team, sit down with us, and there are some other options out there that he could describe to you better. And there may be some things that he may say, if we do this, tweak this, then we can get this number down. That's all part of the programming. And
the way you have set this up, don't mean to interrupt you. Is it's in 3 stages. So if the commission agrees for you to move forward with the design on the first stage, that's all spent is on the first stage.
Phase 1.
Then if the commission decides to do the second phase upon negotiations, in order to maybe use the slides and everything else because it's a cheaper part, then you'd move towards that second one, and that would be the price.
And
I just want to make sure
it's just add on.
Right,
you just add on. If you want to go to phase 2, phase 3. But what I envision in phase 1 is it would get us turned loose where they could start the actual design of the pool. We could start the site civil design work, and I could actually get Matt down here in front of us all. We could have like an all, probably not in the commissioners meeting, but we just need to have a brainstorming session where he could give you some ideas and really pin down exactly what the commission wants. I mean, we've got a lot of ideas and stuff like that, but going through their programming, they can identify needs and what you actually need to go after, what it is we're trying to obtain. And then that may help us fine tune these numbers a little bit more, maybe get rid of some of them. And we'll also help you pursue the grants. We'll fill out apps, whatever we got to do to help get the money coming in for the different phases. But as it sets right now, Tom, you wanted 3 phases and you wanted them all right at $1 million. I got 5, and that one hits 1.6, but that was the biggest portion of the plan. So I think this system that we had, basically, I think it was around that 7.5 million, I think is what this ultimately looked like. And I think we've been able to kind of cut back, go from a shallower pool, keep the footprint a little bit smaller, and we've got it to a total 5.6, but that does have some double dipping. There will be concrete that'll get replaced 2 or 3 times, doing it in phases. Yes, it cuts down expense, but I mean, it's manageable that way. But there will be some redundant work that will occur phasing it out, but it makes it easier to, I guess, digest.
All you want, brother.
So, Tom asked for phase 1 to get this pool open and done at a
Yep.
certain price, and this is the price that he asked for. This is
Yes.
great. How about your timeline? Any thoughts on that?
The timeline's it's gonna be, I mean, it's gonna be tight. I mean, we should have already had a design, based on our first meetings, we should already had a design, so. I mean, splashing by Memorial Day is gonna be tight, that's all I can say. It just depends on the line.
Right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the goal of the team, is to get it going, but we really need to, if the commission would approve phase 1, we could get started. I would, I'll draft you up a task order agreement for phase 1 of this project, and then we get started on it.
And so before we weren't sure about the deep end is still a part of the pool, it's just 8 feet or 7.
It's gonna go to 7. It's gonna go to 7
That's
feet.
good. That's a diveable level.
Right.
That's good, and that's at least when you look at logistics of pool
Mhm.
code and stuff, so that's good. That goes to 7, so we're not losing the length of the pool anymore.
No.
We're keeping a full pool 7 feet deep.
Right.
And then, obviously, the number that we looked for in that time, that's all.
And then that's when we're gonna have to be shopping around different types of liners and stuff like that. What can we get and how quick can we get it?
Okay, Chris. A lot of this is demo. Piping, so this includes all material?
That includes everything that we foresee to get the pool up and running. Like I said, we're gonna tie into all the existing piping coming from the building. I do need to find that surge tank. I was looking on the drawings, I do need to get out there with maintenance crew. I think it's on the side of the building. Wait, I think like the pumps are here, I think it's outside the fence. I need to find that surge tank, I need to look at it. And the surge tank, if it's in dire shape, it may be something that we have to fix, like us, and not put it out to bid, because that's a pricey piece of equipment. But it could be something that can be lined or something if we need to painted. So we need to find it, but the piping, the existing return and intake is going to change somewhat, and we're going to try to get away from that center trough that's running down the middle of the pool, if he can. Yeah, that's what he's wanting to do, is get away from that type of system and go back to like a gutter type system. That way it can function properly. And we're raising it up 3 to 4 feet out of the bottom. We're gonna cut all that old stuff out. So that's the piping and stuff that's gonna get changed.
Hey, Chris, now, what I was proposing is locking in the first design. And the commission making a decision whether they want to allocate money, let's say December 6th, I'm just throwing a number out there. But locking in the first design as $1 million or less, what we talked about, if stuff doesn't have to be fixed. And it's December 6th, if the commission doesn't have the funding, then we can go after earmarks and we can go after grants in order to get this funded. I'm not asking the commission to make a decision today. I wanted this thing set up the way the first time I mentioned it, 3 stages. And something to get it, if the commission decided to do it, we need a figure to get at least going.
Yeah.
And this is what I asked for in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And this is what.
This report, along with the initial facts and findings that we did for you guys, would be all you would need to start asking for money.
And then we can negotiate whether the commission funds it or not. We've already allocated a certain amount of money for design and engineering, correct? Is that right, Ruth?
For the preliminary,
So all I want to do is I don't want to waste the funding. I want to get a design that we can maybe live with or go after grant funding or go after earmarks. And then the funding's still there for the second stage and third stage. Once we meet and come up with what the commission may want on the second and third stage, correct? Does that make sense to the commission?
Yes.
Yeah, but I want to play devil's advocate. Instead of trying to repair this and redo all the piping, what if we were to put a hole someplace else and just start with the pool that way?
Yeah, we looked at it, you're still gonna be pushing, I mean. It's all based on square footage and your piping, there's no way you're gonna be able to get something started to that size for $1 million. I mean, you're still gonna be pushing $4 to $5 million. If you might save a little bit, I mean, this is a $5.6 million project. If you wanted to build this somewhere else, you're probably still gonna be maybe more, because you're gonna have to repower and everything back into it. This already has existing power sources and all that. The infrastructure is here.
Okay.
So yes, it does have some crappy foundation that has to be restored. That's
But in your first presentation, you said you could take care of that.
yeah, that's a small price to pay versus a brand new, virgin site, so to speak. I mean, you have to bring everything in for it. I mean, yeah, it would be.
Just building a shower house would be a lot of money.
Well,
If you
just
relocate
upgrading
it.
the shower house that we had there up to ADA standards, if a contractor touches it, was 1.2.
And the way I put this in, I didn't pay attention to this. I should have, because we had short minutes notice when you brought this in. I had figures for Brian and the park to take care of renovating the shower house and stuff like that, to cut the cost on that, because I believe they have the ability to do it.
And you can do that. You can make upgrades and stuff to it, but if you go in there and you start getting federal dollars to go in there and start building bathhouses and stuff, it's gonna have to meet ADA standards.
Well, I think we could, right, I think we internally, he's done a great job on what money we've gave him out there, cleaning the place up and moving forward with it. I think he has the ability. I don't know how the commission feels, and Brian can probably speak on that. I think he has the ability, if we give him a little bit of money, and me and him's already talked about some figures, that he could do it himself internally.
Yeah. I think that phase one for $1 million to rehab what you have to get the pools up and running is probably the best bang for your dollar. It will allow us to start the actual design process on that phase. So that we can start pricing out materials, get it in, and then that will get me an opportunity to get Matt down here in front of you guys, and we can discuss how you want to go forward.
Okay.
And how you're choosing to move forward might change the outcome a little bit. Phase one, maybe we might do something a little different, might save a little bit of money on this side. So, but I think that's probably that's how I would propose to go forward with it.
To fix the part that's fallen down, are you gonna use grout to pump into it, or what type of material you think you're using?
We're wanting to get in there and dig it all out and get that out of there, and then use compactable fill material. To compact it back up, fill in all the voids. If we encounter any pipes, then yeah, we're gonna want those grouted. If we hit any grouts in through there, or any voids, we want to try to, basically pressure grout them, try to fill them up. But the whole idea is that material's just been, it was fine, but the hole happened, and every time the water comes up, it shoves the water up underneath the pool liner. When you drain it, it pulls sediment, and the fill comes out with it. So over the time of doing it, that's why that whole bottom end's set down. The concrete's a little deteriorated in the deep end, so we'll break all that up, get rid of it, allow it to properly drain underneath. Probably have some French drain systems underneath of it, trying to get rid of the water. Just water's not our friend.
Except for if you're a fire department, it is your.
Well, unless you got a fire you're trying to put out, you want as much water as you can.
Okay.
Yep, absolutely.
When we, if we approve this, how soon before we'll have a plan, everything going on?
I just have to sit down and see, sort of putting it through. I mean, we were shooting for like an 8 to 12 week design period.
But the first stage is simple, is what we're talking about.
It's gonna be a whole lot more
It's
streamlined.
Cut and
Yep.
dry, it's simple. It's,
Absolutely.
uh,
So, you know, maybe we could still get this designed out by, we get turned loose first part of December, maybe about sometime in February, maybe say 4 to 6 weeks. Be nice if we could muster them. It's gonna be tight. I mean, it's gonna be tight.
yeah, well, I just want to bring it to the commission so we can informational, John, so we can put it back on December 6th on a final decision, but I just wanted something present after me and him talked, and Brian talked the other day, give you an idea of what my thoughts was on how it should be, and it's cleaner, it's simpler. The first stage is the cheapest way to go, just to get it something open. So,
Get the pool back up and running and then start building on it from there.
yeah,
Too many people's complaining about not having a pool down there.
well, I mean, it's just the figures before, I'm not going to throw anything but a bus, but engineers and architects don't know anything when it comes to numbers.
That all you got for me?
Yeah.
Yep.
Does, you have any more questions, John?
No, Dr. Chris.
All right.
We got these two things here we can
Oh.
knock out real quick.
Well, John, you want to mention them?
Okay, we got information back from Eddie's office on the dollar amounts going back to Mr. Chris. There's actually 2 refunds. You want to go ahead and explain why there's not 3?
There was not 3. Joshua Chris did not own that property July 1st of 19. Therefore, the 2020 tax ticket was not in his name. Therefore, there was not a refund issued for him for the tax year 2020.
Okay.
Ms. Taylor?
Oh, that's fine. No,
Okay.
I mean, I knew they would have the data.
Okay, I just making
Okay,
sure.
so I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to approve these 2 refunds.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Got to sign twice.
Thank you, Tara.
Thank you.
Right, next thing on the exhibit list was some hearing, please.
Okay. I have an exhibit.
Trying to go as fast as I can. Probably didn't spell my name right. Okay. The, you. Should we go?
So Kevin and Fallon from the animal shelter are here.
Do y'all want to get and talk about it? You want me to start? The animal shelter had a problem with BBs raining down on the shelter, and I believe members of the shelter and the animals. And so the commission wanted to bring up the lease and make some recommendations to the shooting range and discuss maybe changing their hours of shooting. And I think we also want to discuss maybe sending a letter saying we're not going to renew the lease. And that's the short-term version of all this. Gave you the short version. Does any other commissioners want to talk about it?
What they're doing is when they shoot their pigeons, that's clay pigeons, not the actual bird. But when they shoot, they're shooting from right to left. And when they shoot, that's right in line with the shelter. And all the BBs fall down on top of the shelter. And this was from the 28th. This is just a small sampling. And from what I understand, one of the workers actually had one hit them in the neck this past week.
Yes.
So we just can't have anybody getting hurt nor the roof being tore up.
So Anthony, do we need to send a letter saying that they only can shoot so much at certain hours at certain times, or I don't know how the commission wants to handle this. Anybody got any suggestions?
I mean, my recollection is this lease hasn't been updated since it was initially signed, but.
1940?
I believe 2009, but basically. I mean, it depends on whether or not you want to terminate the lease, or if you want to ask that we include, I mean, you want to, we have two options, either terminate the lease or include provisions that dictate times for shooting, and also probably from what I'm hearing, more importantly, direction of shooting.
If the range was being utilized in the method that it was designed for, we wouldn't have these issues. If they're going to be shooting, they should be shooting left to right instead of right to left. And if they would use it in the design that was used for them, we wouldn't have the rain down on the employees. But every time that they are out doing skeet shooting, vision shooting, the staff and the animals are being rained on all the time. You'll stand outside and you're hitting the roof, you're hitting the weed, you're hitting the vehicles. It's just a complete danger, not only to our staff, but to the animals and the well-being of everybody down there. If you go to our back kennels, I have 5 back kennels that I cannot use because shooting right to left puts the bullets right into my dog kennels. It's not safe to put the animals in the back kennels.
And, I mean, I think they're in violation of the lease. You could argue.
Yeah.
You could argue, that shooting in the manner in which they are is a violation of the wanton endangerment statute.
Well, not to add to that, we had a window that was cracked in a vehicle when they were shooting. And they
Well,
talked with,
That's destruction of property.
and they
Destruction of
talked
property
with,
doesn't require intent.
yes, well, they talked with, was it you, Kevin? And they said,
No, sir. So the staff called the 911 center, requested the deputy to come down and ask the gun range to, or the gun club to please stop shooting in that direction. And from my understanding, the deputy that come down is a part of the gun club and nothing was ever addressed.
So basically, the lease contains a provision that we can serve them with a notice that they're in violation of the lease. They have 30 days to correct. The way if you want to terminate the lease, we're gonna have to wait until.
You sure you gotta wait, Anthony?
But
You sure you have to wait to send a letter? Is that what you was gonna say?
I mean, well, no, if you want them to correct the problem, you can send them a letter immediately, it basically gives them 30 days to correct the problem. If you want to terminate the lease, the way the language of the lease is written, we can terminate it and we can send a letter immediately, but the way I interpret the lease has to be terminated on the last day of the lease period, which is June 30th.
Right, but we can still send the letter.
Oh, we can send it
Okay,
today. We can
okay.
send it today.
Okay.
But regardless of what the commission's position is on termination of the lease, I think we need to immediately send a letter addressing the issue of discharging firearms in the direction of right to left, and toward the animal shelter buildings and employees. I mean, that's nuts.
Yeah, I can understand. Have they ever done it before? It's been a thing, same
It's
thing.
been an ongoing issue for
balance you.
So Miss Fowler, she's our office manager down there, and she's actually one of the individuals that buckshot, if I'm not mistaken, was what was in part of her hair from being rained on.
It hit me in the leg last Saturday as well.
And then, of course, our animal control officer who's on light duty was hit in the neck by buckshot that had been on her as well.
So yeah, I agree with Anthony. We need to send something immediately. Send a letter today.
Yeah. And maybe even send a deputy over there. If you guys could call and let them know, we can advise the sheriff, but let them know if they start shooting again in the intervening time until somebody gets a letter.
And Ruth, was you able to obtain a copy of that report where he went out? Okay.
Was a report generated?
I don't know, he wasn't on duty, so.
But I'm assuming the gist of the letter needs to be to cease and desist shooting in a right to left direction and shooting in a direction toward the animal shelter facilities.
Yes. And if it doesn't stop, Anthony, then what? I mean, then the contract is breached and we can cancel the lease at that point.
mean, I think we can terminate the lease. I'm trying to take a look if there doesn't seem to be a provision that gives us the ability to immediately terminate the lease. But certainly, I mean, the reality is if this continues, we may have to take action against the sportsman's recreation center and circuit court. Give an injunction to keep them from doing it. I mean, I don't know that there's not necessarily a provision in the lease that gives us the ability to immediately terminate the lease.
Well, I would like us to send the letter to cease and desist that you described, but would also like to include in that letter notice that of our intent to terminate the lease as of its expiration date, unless we have to seek sooner termination because of non-compliance
I agree.
with the lease.
I agree. Is it, how you feel, John?
John, before we leave, I'd like to get a picture of the buck shot that bird shot. I'd like to get a picture of the bird shot that you collected so I can send that with the letter.
There you are. I'm gonna make a motion.
Yeah, I'll make the motion to send a letter like Anthony described, the cease and desist for shooting in the improper direction in the direction of the animal shelter. Also notify the gun club of our intent to terminate the lease as of its expiration date, unless we have to seek an earlier termination due to non-compliance with its terms.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right. 911. You want to go up, Ruth? You made some suggestions. You want to go over,
Well, Philip and Tanya are here.
let them go over? Okay.
Yeah, let them go first.
Okay, I was gonna put you on the spot, Ruth.
Okay, let's jump in first.
Morning, I guess, did they have what I sent you?
I have something here that Ruth, I have something, Ruth.
But anyway, basically, given the change in the hourly employees where they were automatically getting paid for 40 hours on their short week. That's effective.
Okay.
They were automatically getting paid 40 for their 36-hour week. That's now going to change, and then they're short 4 hours each pay period. So they're going to see a loss in pay there, and then our whole goal is to just do an adjustment to make sure they don't lose equipment money. Basically, increase the hourly rate for 12 of this bad.
Well,
No, it was the 1570 something to 2028 or something, Ruth, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Is the loss because of this?
I'm fine with making them whole. I thought I saw a proposal for across the board raises, and that's normally
Right,
not
that's
how
the
we
way
would
I
do things.
that was originally what I put out there for that, and then me and Ruth spoke about it, and so basically, we're just doing an adjustment just to even things out so they're not at a loss.
No,
Oh, well,
go ahead, Miss Taylor. I'm sorry.
I support that adjustment. I mean, I think, they're already, we'd already like to pay them more than we're able to, but I don't want them to lose money because of our payroll system.
Yeah, I support what Ruth put out too, but I want to bring to the commission's attention one adjustment I would like to see if the commission agrees is Charles Williams. He's been there 10 years. When we gave the adjustments before, I don't think he was adequately been compensated for being there 10 years. And I was wanting to add $2 more thousand onto his salary adjustment.
So he's talking about when we made the supervisor's exam, they all went to the same level, but he has a lot more experience. The other three, is it three?
Yeah, because he's been there 10 years. and
Right.
Some of our other supervisors have only been there for a couple of years.
Yeah.
and they're
Right.
Less than 5,
Yeah.
Right.
if I recall.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I agree with that, Tom. And I think Ruth made that recommendation to us. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Do you want to make that a motion?
Yes.
Okay. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
You have any questions, John?
No.
Okay, sorry, I thought you were gonna hit.
No, it was straightforward.
It won't be this pay period, but it, well,
Right.
it won't be Friday, but it'll be, yeah, you know what I mean. Alright. And go see. Alright, so the other thing was, we got the letter notification from the state auditor's office to set up 2 new funds. Part of new legislation, one would be for the opioid settlement, would be Fund 40. And the other one would be the County Fire Protection Fund, which would be Fund 41. That's literally all of the information we have, other than it's interest-bearing accounts, and you guys have to approve it in the open meeting so we can set up the bank account.
Show it here, bank.
Okay. Well, I move we approve them.
I second.
I like it.
I'm sorry, go ahead, John.
No, I was gonna second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I think some of the fire departments asked a question to me, and I want to ask a question too. Where it says, County Fire Protection Fund.
That's what they're calling it. And
That's
I
what they're
think
calling
that's part of what you were talking about earlier.
That's state money.
Literally the only information we have.
Okay, all right. Okay,
We have to set up a bank account.
And then-
That's all.
They even said in their letter they had no more guidance for us, didn't they?
Right.
so I wanted, Mr. Gray asked me about it, and I just wanted, I didn't know whether y'all was here for that or not, but that's what, the answer was. Okay. The URA board members expiration date,
Expired term. Yep.
expired terms, and did you have the information on when the terms expired, Bruce?
Haven't, Allison has it. You have that?
Well, if you
I
have,
have it.
okay, if you
They
have,
all expired March 1st of 22. And the terms of Matt Winder, Gene Kistler, and Jeff Proctor all expired on March 1st of 22. And they've been continuing to serve in those positions under operation of their own bylaws, which allow somebody who's currently in a seat to continue to serve until someone new is appointed to that seat. So we've had multiple discussions with council and in meetings about when and if to make new appointments to the board, and the general feeling was that we wanted to let these original board members see through the sale of Wolf Creek Park to Blue Water Development. And in the last week and a half, that sale has fallen through, thereby raising this issue again for the commission. So that's the background on it. So I'm going to move that we appoint Steve Pridemore, Mayor of Anstead, to serve in the seat formerly occupied by Matt Winder. These are 5-year terms, so the term would expire March 1st of 2027.
I second.
That's a motion.
I second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, and then I'm going to further move that Mayor Mike Kessinger, the mayor of Mount Hope, be appointed to serve in the seat formerly occupied by Gene Kistler. And again, the same term, 5-year term to expire March 1st of 2027.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And at this time, I'm not going to move that anybody replace anybody or change any terms, but I think we ought to leave Jeff Proctor as the director of that board in place for the time being.
I agree.
And that's not a motion. That's just a
Yeah.
statement.
Yep. I don't have a problem with it. John?
Fine.
All right. Let's take, now we're going to Grant, right, that's over with, right?
Yep.
Ask permission to move on. Okay, the dilapidated building grant discussion.
He already covered that.
I think we've covered everything.
Oh, okay, we're done. I feel.
Motion
like
to,
I was lost.
Motion to, we're done. Motion to.
Adjourn. Second.